everybody. This is Deborah Stewart, and today I'm going to work on an intuitive abstract painting on paper. And there are so many different ways that I've discovered to start an abstract. And in the beginning, when it was new to me and I only created abstract pastels, what I started with were actually small portions of photographs that I had taken. I did that probably for 5 years. Just took little pieces of photographs and recreated them in charcoal, then went from charcoal to adding a few colors of pastel, then on to working on sanded paper. And so I started in the beginning with just little portions of photographs. Then I started to use little portions of drawings. And then I went to a workshop on intuitive drawing, and where it was just mark making and using no reference, like no little portion of a photo, using nothing except just whatever marks came to me. So that started my use of intuitive drawing and mark making. So in the beginning though, I used small little references for a long time. It taught me a lot about shapes and how to find abstracts, taught me about composition, all of that. But on this one, I'm just going to use that intuitive drawing. And basically my process is usually the same. People have asked me, do I have my composition figured out ahead of time? No, I don't. I don't pre-plan my work ahead of time. I get kind of a vague idea of what I want to do. And usually my vague idea comes from making little sketches in my sketchbook. Here's my sketchbook that I have. And I make little sketches. I think to myself about what kind of a color. I try to even visualize a painting. Not finished. I don't see it completely finished, but I just try to kind of get a vague idea of what do I want it to look like. And basically part of that vague idea is, where is the dark part going to be and where is the light part going to be? Because contrast is really important to me. So I make these little sketches. They're me thinking on paper. And sometimes I use these little sketches, even though they're really tiny, like this one. And I might put that on the wall and use that to start something that's huge. So it's all come with practice on my part, doing lots and lots and lots and lots of work, and a lot of times not knowing what I'm doing and just trying to find my way and seeing what will happen. Abstract is so much different than working on a landscape or a portrait or a still life, where you have some definite plans, some definite ideas of composition, and where do you want to place the vase and where do you want the light source and all of those things. Abstract is, as I've said many times, it's like going somewhere and you don't have a map. You're just kind of seeing where you're going to end up, which is, really for someone who's used to working with a reference and knowing exactly step by step what's going to happen, it's a little like you're lost because you don't have that map to get you to where you're going. There are, that's a lot of what it is like. And it's a process of discovery. For me, I like that. Now, of course, I never know well, I won't say never now, but is everything going to turn out that I put paint to paper or paint to canvas or pastel to paper? Is everything going to turn out that I do? No. There are things I still throw away, cover up, ideas I have that don't pan out. But I probably have more things that work now than used to because I've done a lot and a lot of work. So anyway, so my plan for this one is I'm just going to make some intuitive marks. I've kind of thought about my colors and where did the ideas for colors come from? Sometimes for me they come from something I've seen. Like I have seen, once I saw really yellow-green fields and a gray sky, and I thought, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I have to remember those colors for an abstract. It might come from looking at bougainvilleas in Arizona, and I came home and I did 2 great big paintings with those colors, that hot pink and red and orange. So you have to pay attention to things around you and say, what inspires you? What do you find is beautiful? And as far as colors go, it may come from something you've seen, or it may come from, I saw someone else's painting. Those were great colors. I'm going to try using those colors myself. I'm not going to copy their painting, but I'm going to try using those colors also. So it's just kind of deciding on colors up front and really kind of clarifying what colors do you want to use. So I did that. Here I made some kind of tests of some colors that I was thinking of. Some Prussian blue, which is down here. Some Payne's gray. They're very similar actually. Some brown, some dark gray, a tan color, and then some warm colors. I tried one, didn't like that, so I went with burnt sienna. That worked much better. And so those are the colors I'm going to use. So tested them out, like them, going to start with those. Put this down here. I always, before I start something, I like to test the colors out on that book that I have. And because I don't want to just start grabbing things as I go, I want to get it nailed down to just a few colors, especially a range of colors. Say that is blue with some neutrals, and then I wanted a complementary color, which would be the burnt sienna, which would be kind of like the orange complement of blue. So I'm going to then start with some mark making on this piece of paper, and this is a piece of Bristol vellum paper, but you can use any kind of paper you want. The marks I'm going to make are going to be coordinated with the colors I picked out. So I'm going to use Derwent water-soluble charcoal or graphite. You can use whatever you want. You can use pastel, you can use Stabilo chunky crayon. I like these. I've used them a lot because I know when I put these down, I can make a wash out of them, and I love the colors. So I've got a blue one, a brown one, and I've got a black Stabilo chunky crayon that I'm going to use to get started. And I'm just going to make some intuitive marks. So, alrighty, I'm going to put some brown, blue, and black marks down. And I might put a little bit of water. I'm just going to put them down intuitively. variety of marks. I'll put some brown down now. I don't want to get too many. I just want enough. I could go with the side also. We'll just see what I have. And I'll put a little bit black. You know, I just don't have any rhyme or reason. I'm just putting these things down, and now I'm going to put some water down and see what I have. I could either put water down or I could put matte medium on it. The water is going to give me a wash. See how that... The matte medium would be a little bit different effect. So, just gonna go, it's gonna go, I think, well with the colors I picked out. I'm just, all right. And if I want it a little bit darker, like maybe I do, maybe I'll put a little bit more up in here. I do love this blue color. It's a great color. I'll put a little, so I'll put a little blue there. And then maybe I'll put a little bit more brown right here. And maybe I'll put a little bit. So this is kind of like an underpainting in a way, except it's done with this Derwent water soluble charcoal or graphite. I'm not sure which one it is. And maybe that's good. So maybe the middle now, I can go back in. When it's wet, the lines I put down are going to be bolder. And so I'll put a little more black. So then it's like, well, you know, what can I do with this? Some of these things I'm just going to cover up. Some of them will stay. Okay, I'm going to dry that with my hair dryer, and then I'm going to start to apply paint on top of it. Okay, now I'm going to start to apply colors, and the colors I used in my test on my notebook. And I might cover some things up. Might just cover some areas up. This is just cheap brush, just putting some colors down. I do like the color of that brown, because the paint is thin, so I can go through it with this shaper, which I like to do, and kind of expose the areas that are neat. I really like that effect. So this is not a pastel painting. This is more of a painting that I'm testing colors. Maybe I'll use these colors for a bigger canvas, actually that I have on the wall in back that you can't see. But a lot of times I like to do this testing before I start something to see if it's, you know, gonna work. Okay, I kind of like that color. I think I'll go on to the Prussian blue that I used earlier and a little bit of white and maybe some brown in it also, because I know the brown is going to tone it down a little bit. I've picked out minimal colors that I'm going to use. So I'm mixing on a table that has some freezer paper on it. And I'll use some different brushes now. I think I will use this brush. You know, I'm putting the paint down thin. I don't really worry about it too much. Oh, that's a nice color. If I put it down thin enough, not too thin, I just mix the color up, put a little matte medium in with it, and I'm moving it around. I think I'll add some white to it, maybe some brown. I'll put a little brown in it. Put a little brown in it, which tones it down. Let it drip a little. I don't have a plan. I don't want to lose all the marks that are under there, so I'm gonna dig through there periodically. Now I'm gonna add some more white to that. This is gonna be a quickie. I think it's good to, you know, really kind of go quick with some of these things. All right, so I've got a lot of blue up there. I don't want too much more blue, but maybe I'll add a lot of white to get a really, really light variation. So try to use a lot of different brush strokes instead of the same one all the time. And I try not to overthink anything. Just kind of put it down. All right. Move it around really fast. Now I'm going to go with a different color. I've got enough of that. So, and I want to keep some of those lines that are under there. All right, that's good. So maybe, let's see here. Okay. You know, I might not need as many colors as I had pulled out. If I had a bigger surface, maybe, but maybe not for this one. Okay, I've lightened it up. Could go even lighter. Do you like that color? Like that color with that blue. It's a great combination. And then with the drawing underneath is nice also. All right, see, I think that's, maybe I don't want to go overboard on this. I want to have some areas that are thick, thin, And I might leave all of this white down here. And I might add, maybe I will add I think maybe I'll add the Payne's Gray next. A little bit might be, yeah, see, it's a little different than that blue. A little bit more gray. I kind of like that. I think maybe I need to put in different kind of lines. Maybe I need some long, thin lines now. How about that? And stop up here. And maybe I need some long, kind of thin lines. Kind of move that brush around and get some different kind of lines in here. And I might even go back. Yeah, see, it's very similar to the Prussian blue, but it's a little bit different. I don't want to overwork that area, so I think, you know, I really like the color of this under there, so I might put some white in, maybe with a little bit of burnt sienna. I don't know. This might have, this is a pretty subtle painting, and I'm not sure. This might be a little too much. Got to step back from it, see where am I going to put this. Here. Maybe, I'm thinking, do I want a big broad brush stroke, or do I want to put it down in some kind of a glaze? I might do that. And so I'm going to add some satin glazing medium to this and some water and really put it down kind of watery, I think. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to it, I think. I just want it to go over the rest of the colors. So it's kind of a glaze that I want to go over some of the colors. Maybe I'll put some right here. I don't want a real heavy, thick and thin, thick and thin. That's kind of what I'm trying. Whoops. How did that end up on there? Oh. Now, okay, I didn't want that. I think I'll scrape that away. Actually, and maybe I'll take that. I didn't want that big bunch of color there. All right. Okay. So a little bit of a glaze. I'm going to put some white in here, I think. Well, I don't know whether this is going to work or not, but I have decided I am going to put a big swatch of green in there. And I'm thinking You know, I'm just going to try it. I want a veil of green color. So I'm going to start. It's very thin because I added satin glazing liquid to it. So see, I'm going to go over it. Oh, I kind of like that, just the way that happened there. And I might take a wet brush. I thought it was just too much the same. Now, so you really can kind of see through it. And I'm gonna, maybe I'll take my fan brush and just felt like it needed something different. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put down a little bit heavier white paint. Okay. Just going back to using this really wide brush. Because I wanted some thicker. I'm looking for thick and thin, and I know it's kind of hard to follow along on this, but scrape through, see some more lines, scrape through, leave what's under there show through. So, am I done with this? Did I know where I was going when I started this? No. Am I happy with it? I don't know. I have to wait a little bit and see, but and I also might want to go back maybe I want to go back. It's a little wet, so, but maybe I want to go back with some of the drawing tools, which I can do if I want to put some more marks in. So, but right now, I'm going to leave it just the way it is. The colors I used were a Payne's Gray up here, mostly the Prussian blue. And I did take the Prussian blue and some yellow ochre and I mixed it together to get this green. So that's where I got that. And this kind of an orangish color is a burnt sienna and some white. And then I had a brown that I used. So, and then my mark making tools were the blue Derwent, a brown Derwent, and this black Stabilo chunky crayon. And so this is just something I like to do. It helps warm me up. It gives me some ideas because sometimes I might not have any ideas before I start. And then when I do something like this, it's like I'm just playing around. I'm experimenting. This may never go anywhere. I might never sell it, but it's kind of just playing around with colors and mark making to see what might happen. And then maybe I'll hang it on the wall and use some of the ideas to start a painting on a piece of canvas. So maybe I'll do another one of these and do a variation or something. But it's intuitive mark making. I'm covering up some of the marks, thin paints, washes, thicker paints over some of the marks, thicker paint over some of the washes, just kind of playing around with it. And I don't have a plan. I just kind of let it happen to see what would transpire. So I hope that you will give this a try. Pick out maybe 3 colors of paint, a white and maybe a couple of complementary colors like blue and orange, or white and brown and another color. Mix those colors together to get some variations. Use a variety of brushes, big brushes, smaller brushes, other kinds of mark making tools. I used a color shaper to put this green down. This I got at Jerry's Artorama, but I buy them off of Amazon, and you could even use credit cards or window scraper, or, a squeegee, all sorts of things that you could use. So that's my intuitive painting